Chair recognizes Representative Thompson of Harris for a motion.
Mr. Speaker and members, I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider House Resolution 351 in memory of former Governor Mark White.
Members have heard the motion. Is there objection? Chair is none. So ordered. The clerk will read the following resolution in full.
H.R. 351 by Thompson of Harris, whereas former Governor Mark White passed away on August 5th, 2017 at the age of 77, leaving an admirable legacy of visionary leadership. And whereas elected to the state's highest office in 1982, Governor White worked tirelessly to address a number of challenging issues, including the diversification of the Texas economy and the implementation of comprehensive education reforms, and his achievement have had an important and lasting influence on the Lone Star State. And whereas the son of Sarah Elizabeth White and Mark White Sr., Mark Wells White Jr. was born in Henderson in March 17, 1940, and grew up in Houston. The focus he would later place on education stemmed in part from the influence of his mother, who taught first grade. After graduating from Houston's Lamar High School, he worked his way through Baylor University, where he earned degrees in business and law. And whereas in 1966, Mr. White began his career in public service as Assistant Attorney General, and in that role, he handled some of the state's first consumer protection investigations. He then became a partner in private practice in Houston before being appointed as Texas Secretary of State by Governor Dolph Briscoe in 1973. Just 32 years old when he took office, he worked to modernize the state's voting registration system, and after 5 years on that job, he ran for Attorney General. Though considered an underdog, he triumphed in the 1978 Democratic primary and went on to win the office in the November election. His ability to defy the odds in political races was repeated 4 years later when he challenged incumbent Governor Bill Clements and was elected to the state's chief executive. And whereas over the course of his time, Governor White was able to win support for a number of groundbreaking initiatives. His bold education reforms, highlighted by House Bill 72, enacted in 1984, include pay raises for educators, funding increases for poverty-poor school districts, as well as the establishment of class size limits and teacher competency tests to improve elementary schools. He also intensified the focus on student achievement, championing the landmark No Pass, No Play policy that requires students to pass all their classes in order to participate in school sports. He demonstrated similar resolve in securing funding for schools and highway improvements to diversify a state economy that has been prone to wrenching boom and bust cycles. He spearheaded the recruitment of major research conglomerates, microelectronics, computer technology corporations, setting the stage for Austin's emergence as a high-tech center. And whereas after leaving office in 1987, Governor White returned to the private sector, continuing his legal practice in Houston, serving GeoVox Security as its chair. Moreover, he shared his expertise and commitment to service as a member of the boards of the Baylor College of Medicine and the San Jacinto Monument and Museum of History, the Armed Forces Foundations, and the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum, and he chaired the Houston Independent School District Foundation. The school district appropriately named an elementary campus in his honor in 2014. And his numerous other accolades include a Distinguished Alumni Award from Baylor Alumni Association and the Baylor University Pro Texarkana Medal of Service. And whereas Governor White shared a long and happy marriage with his college sweetheart, the former Linda Gale Thompson, and he was a proud father of 3 children, Mark, Andrew, and Elizabeth, and in years later, he delighted in the company of his 9 grandchildren. And whereas his charismatic charm, Mark White loved the give and take of politics, but he was guided above all else by an unwavering sense of responsibility to the people of Texas. He embraced Sam Houston's to do right and risk their consequences, and his commitment to caring and principled governance will remain a source of inspiration for years to come. Now, therefore, be resolved that the House of Representatives of the 85th Texas Legislature First Called Session hereby pay tribute to the memory of the Honorable Mark White and extend sincere condolences to Linda Gale, their children, and all who mourn his passing. And be further resolved that an official copy of this resolution be prepared for his family, and when the Texas House of Representatives adjourns this day, he do so in memory of Governor White.
Chair recognizes Representative Thompson.
Mr. Speaker and members, I had the privilege and pleasure of knowing Governor White since Governor Dolph Briscoe appointed him Secretary of State in 1973. I witnessed to the groundbreaking changes he supported as governor that affected all Texans and most particularly members of minority groups. He appointed more minorities and women to government positions than all of the governors before him combined. Governor White was a dedicated public servant who embodied Sam Houston's famous quote, do right, and risk the consequences. He boldly proposed to pay for education reform by asking the legislature to raise taxes, knowing that he alone would be held responsible. Governor White's legacy lives on in many ways, but he would always be remembered for changing Texas education for the better by increasing teachers' pay, limiting class size, and placing academics over sports. He had courage and fortitude beyond measure. To his wife, Linda Gale, to his children, Mark, Andrew, and Elizabeth, and to his grandchildren, please accept our heartfelt condolence. The Texas House of Representatives mourns with you. We give thanks for the vision and the courageous leadership of this most extraordinary man. He truly was a tall Texan.
Members, this is a memorial resolution. All those in favor, please rise. The resolution is unanimously adopted. Representative Coleman moves to add all members' names. Is there objection? Chair is none, so ordered.